This is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that, but this is my husband.
This passage introduces a contrastive structure, public figure versus private relationship. The repeated possessive, my husband, functions as what linguists call deictic ownership marking. She's linguistically
using possessive language, my husband, to reinforce personal attachment. Okay.
This is righteous anger because this is not okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Let's get at it. Martin the Decoder is going to address the Erika Kirk kerfuffle. Let's see what he has to say. Let's go.
This is righteous anger. I have no idea how I would have reacted. And so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
When people watch emotionally charged interviews, they often rush to interpret what they see. Anger gets treated as guilt. Intensity gets read as deception. Defensiveness gets assumed to be concealment. But in linguistics, those equations don't actually hold. The same surface behavior can emerge from very different underlying states: grief, stress, persuasion, or strategic communication. So the real question isn't what it looks like, it's what the language is doing. Linguistic analysis cannot prove truth, but what it can do is evaluate whether someone's speech patterns align more closely with performativity and deception or authenticity. To understand it properly, we have to slow down and look at the patterns underneath the emotion, not just the emotion itself. What follows is a close reading of those patterns as they unfold in real time. Welcome to the channel.
Talk to me about this part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing?
In linguistic analysis, repetition alone means very little, but what gets repeated matters enormously. Unreliable or deceptive speakers often repeat credibility claims. I swear, honestly, believe me. They do this because under scrutiny, they often try to manage how credible they sound in real time, so they reinforce it with repetition. But the primary function of Erika's repetition isn't about self-serving persuasion. It's about emphasis and boundary marking in context. Then she continues.
Everything was public.
That line establishes a contrast frame. She's linguistically separating what belongs to the public from what belongs to the family, and then she deepens the distinction.
We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see.
Notice the structure here: public memorial for the world, private burial for the family. That distinction remains internally consistent throughout the interview. Then comes one of the strongest boundary statements in the interview.
But can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred?
The word sacred is part of what discourse analysts call moral boundary construction. She's no longer discussing optics or public image. She's constructing protected emotional territory.
Where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying. One thing.
That isn't vague language. It's vivid, sensory, protective. Unreliable narratives often become abstract when emotional stakes rise. Here, the language becomes more specific, not less. Also, the emotional focus quickly moves beyond herself and shifts onto her family. That kind of...
All right, what did that say? Let me see. Abstract language equals vague, generalized, specific language, concrete details, and imagery. Okay, I can dig that.
Quickly moves beyond herself and shifts onto her family. That kind of widening of emotional attention is often seen in grief-driven narratives, rather than in self-protective deception strategies. Then she says,
this is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that, but this is my husband.
This passage introduces a contrastive structure, public figure versus private relationship. The repeated possessive, my husband, functions as what linguists call deictic ownership marking. She's linguistically
Using possessive language, my husband, to reinforce personal attachment. Okay.
reclaiming a personal relationship from a public identity. Again, that's emotional territory defense, not distancing language, not strategic distancing. And importantly, there's no sign of linguistic dissociation here. She doesn't emotionally detach from Charlie. She doesn't depersonalize.
Let me just see that. Just want to catch that. Emotionally distancing yourself through detached or impersonal language. Okay. So you're saying that Erika did not use that. Okay, gotcha.
Dissociation here. She doesn't emotionally detach from Charlie. She doesn't depersonalize him. She doesn't reduce emotional proximity. Instead, she intensifies it repeatedly. My husband, my Charlie.
For my Charlie.
My babies.
My babies.
The attachment language remains stable throughout.
Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned.
First, notice the repetition anytime we hear. That creates what discourse analysts call procedural consistency framing. Erika's describing an ongoing behavioral routine, not a one-time performative act. And importantly, the agency is outward-facing, not we're handling it internally, not we already know what happened. Instead,
we send it to the authorities.
That's institutional deference language.
I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there.
Notice the ordering. My husband comes first, then myself, then my family. The sequencing suggests that the statement isn't centered on reputation management. It's centered on laws and justice. She intensifies commitment rather than minimizing involvement. From a linguistic standpoint, this passage sounds far more like someone emotionally invested in resolution than someone attempting strategic concealment. Next, the emotional register changes. This is where grief transitions into righteous anger. And importantly, the escalation is coherent, not erratic, not disorganized, not evasive. Listen to the progression.
Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever.
At first, she accepts attacks directed at herself, but then the emotional threshold appears.
But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love,
the anger escalates specifically at the point where harm extends to others. That's morally structured anger, not narcissistic image defense. And then she adds,
and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love. No.
Notice the focus again. Not they're ruining my reputation. Instead, they're hurting people I love. That distinction matters linguistically.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay.
Speakers engaged in deception management often try to regulate how they come across emotionally. They may try to sound especially controlled, measured, or deliberate under scrutiny. Erika does the opposite. She doesn't frame the anger as personal embarrassment or reputational harm. She morally contextualizes it. And then she says,
this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus.
Again, high moral framing, high evaluative language, low self-protective filtering. Another notable feature appears later.
But just know that your words are very powerful and we are human. My team are not machines and they're not robots. I have kidnapping threats. I have, you name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted and they watched my husband. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day.
Unreliable or deceptive narratives often overstate certainty and move into lengthy emotional descriptions that can feel overly constructed or performative. But here, uncertainty is openly expressed. I have no idea. That kind of uncertainty often aligns more closely with spontaneous emotional processing than with tightly controlled storytelling or fabrication.
They pick on you because of your accessories. I mean, I've seen some of it.
Oh, yeah. No, at this point, it's what the conspiracy collection. Get it before Christmas. Like, seriously, people will call you whatever they want to call you.
The phrase conspiracy collection is what discourse analysts call reframing through humorous exaggeration.
Using exaggeration or humor to redefine an accusation as absurd. Okay. No, I can dig it. I can dig it. Sure.
Instead of engaging the accusation propositionally, she recategorizes it as a kind of absurd marketplace logic. Get it before Christmas. The humor is not used to evade responsibility or deflect core questions, but to reduce the perceived absurdity of external narratives about her. There's no clear sign of linguistic avoidance here. She doesn't refuse the topic. She doesn't shut down the frame. She instead reframes it creatively and then re-anchors it with,
seriously,
that pattern, irony, and then a return to seriousness often reflects cognitive control under emotional strain, rather than patterns typically associated with deception management or simply withholding of information. Then she reframes persistence as duty.
This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down.
That's commitment language, not concealment language. And finally,
and so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
Simple, direct, non-performative, no rhetorical over-engineering, just a hard boundary. Linguistic analysis cannot prove truth, but what it can do is evaluate whether someone's speech patterns align more closely with deception management or authentic emotional experience. And in this interview, Erika Kirk's language patterns consistently align more closely with protective grief, moral outrage, collective defense, and righteous anger. If you like this type of video, click the like button. See you next time.
Shout out to Martin the Decoder. I appreciate it, brother. Let me know what y'all think. Do you agree with Brother Martin and how he broke that down? Again, I think this one's definitely one that you want to watch a couple times. So the link is down in the description. Definitely go back and check out what he said. Make sure you understand exactly the different categories and languages that he used, because they were definitely different. But do you agree that it shows that Erika's interview here on Fox, did that show somebody who was in control, but just letting some emotions vent? Or do you think it was some kind of controlled opposition, or she was faking it or performing? Let me know what you think. Really, let's keep that conversation going. Down in the comments, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing what you got to say. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for helping us hit 150,000 likes this month. We're super close. Definitely would appreciate you going ahead and liking this video and liking a couple others if you don't mind. Thank you for supporting the channel through super thanks, as well as through Buy Me a Coffees or Cash Apps. I really appreciate it. It does help out the channel a whole lot. And until next time, my good people, I'll see you real soon. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.